Good morning. I'm Kacky Walton. Checking on the Arts is made possible by contributing listeners and by Memphis College of Art. Three Penny Theater Company presents Eugene O'Neill's A Long Day's Journey into Night. That opens this Friday and runs through February the 22nd at TheaterWorks. Matt Crewse is directing the show. He's the founder of Three Penny Theater Company, and he joins me in the studio this morning. Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
So wait, you were just in the Memphis Flyer, 20 under 30?
Yeah, that's right.
That's pretty cool.
Thanks.
So when they got in touch with you about that, they were like, "You've started this theater company." How did it all happen that they picked you to be to have a nice profile in the Flyer recently?
I don't know. Somebody apparently nominated me, and that's how it works. And from the list of nominees, I think they picked the 20 that they want to put together in the paper.
But I thought that was neat. I mean, it really gave the theater company some good exposure.
Yeah, it was nice for that.
How long since you founded it?
It was June of 2013, so about a year and a half.
Yeah. Well, tell everybody about it if people aren't familiar. And you're one of the resident theater companies under the umbrella of Playhouse on the Square at TheaterWorks. So that's
right.
That's your main home.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about why you founded it and really what direction you want the company to go in, what you want the focus to be.
All right. Well, I tell this story pretty much every time, but I'll tell it again. It started because of a TV show, actually, called Slings and Arrows. It's about a Shakespeare company. And I got about 2 seasons in, and I really just really needed to put on a play. So the first one we did was A Midsummer Night's Dream at the U of M. And in the middle of that first production, a friend of mine said, "Well, have you ever thought about running a theater company?" So we decided we'd try it if that first production went well, and we just keep going as it went along, and it's been going pretty great ever since.
So how do you go about choosing the shows that you end up producing?
We like to do classics or works that are derived from or based on classics, and it's really a matter of picking 3 shows, and there's sort of an art to it. You know, at the top of a season, you want it to be your flagship show that you put the most money into, and it should be the most popularly accessible. In the winter, towards January, February, is a good time to do a tragedy or a drama. Everybody's sad after being with their families for the holidays and the sun being down. And then the last slot in May, you can experiment a little bit more.
Well, you certainly picked a great show for winter despair, I guess, A Long Day's Journey into Night.
Yeah.
By Eugene O'Neill, of course. And I did not realize this. It's been a while since I've seen it. I've seen the film. I've never seen a staged version of it. But I didn't realize that it was produced posthumously, and that was by his own
Wife, Carlotta, yeah.
Mm-hmm. He said, "I don't want this published until 25 years after my death." I wonder, why do you suppose that is? Because it's so autobiographical?
I don't know. I assume that would probably be why, because it's about him and about his family. So he wanted it to have some distance, I imagine.
Yeah. Well, but remind people about the plot of the play.
There isn't a whole lot of it all takes place in one day, and there's not a whole lot of really action-driven plot,
right,
you know, that you get in a lot of modern dramas today. It's a lot of it's very cyclical. It's sort of structured like a symphony where these themes come up in cycles, and each time it digs a little deeper and deeper and deeper into these family secrets and into the past. And you see what I like about it is you see the people at their best and you see people at their worst, and it doesn't excuse anything, but it helps you to understand why these people are the way they are and why they do the things they do, which helps you understand your own family and your, people and why they might do the things they do.
Well, let's talk about the characters and who they are. And I don't know if we want to give away everything, but I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with it. But if they're not, it centers on the Tyrone family. And you've got the father, who's an actor. You've got his wife, and then 2 sons, one of whom is also an actor. Let's talk about it. I mean, they all have problems. Each of them have problems, and it seems like for all the talking they do in the show, they don't really go about discussing issues that are causing problems in the family. They fight, they argue, but they don't ever do anything constructively as far as the dialogue to try to really talk about what's happening.
Not until the 4th act. And that's one of the problems with addiction, and that's something that's real about the play, is denial. and so people will try to talk about stuff to help another family member out of it, but they don't, they don't want to talk about it. And you've got people playing different roles, if you're familiar at all with AA, for example, like the enabler and taking on different roles for the family members. But as far as the characters go, there's the dad. And it's all, like you said, autobiographical, based on Eugene O'Neill's life. So his father, James O'Neill, was this Irish-American actor who was really famous for doing The Count of Monte Cristo. He played it for like 40 years.
Gosh.
And he got trapped in this really, really popular role, and, no one wanted to see him do anything else. The mother was very naive, a girl who was educated in a convent, fell in love with the actor very young, and got swept up in this lifestyle that she didn't really understand. And the two sons, one much older than the other, who's an actor, who's really not taking good care of himself, abused himself through alcohol and this really terrible lifestyle. And then the youngest son, who basically is Eugene O'Neill. And there's also the second girl, the maid, who's the second maid, I guess, second kitchen girl, who makes a couple of appearances. So it's sort of it's sort of strange to get this outsider's perspective at times of the family, who's just completely clueless. She's not very bright. She doesn't really perceive what's going on in the family.
So you've got alcohol addiction, you've got morphine addiction, you have Edmund, who has very serious health issues, and his mother just wants to be in denial about that. So there's a lot of denial and a lot of bitterness. And you really need a terrific cast to really make this play come to life and give it the justice it deserves, and you have that.
Yeah, we do. I can't think of a better cast in Memphis. And actually, when we were setting the season last year, this was the cast I had in mind. So I got what I was hoping for, which is
that's
nice.
awfully nice.
It doesn't happen often.
Well, tell us who your cast is.
All right. So for the father, I've got Bill Baker. He does a lot with Our Own Voice. He was Lear in New Moon's production several years back. For Mary, the wife, Christina Welford Scott, who everybody knows. The oldest son is played by Dylan Atkins. The youngest son, Gabe Butelgun, has done a lot at Theater Memphis. He also did something with New Moon recently, A Woman in Black. And then Jillian Barron, who's done a lot at Theater Memphis Proof and As You Like It, is Kathleen.
Why do you think, I guess this was produced back in 1957 or something, he wrote it in the early 40s. Why do you think this has endured the test of time? I mean, this is a masterpiece by O'Neill, a classic.
Yeah, by common consent, it is the greatest American play in over 200 years of a nation that we've ever produced. It's structurally, it's very complex. It's very well written. But I think what makes it endure is that it's so true to life, and I think that's because it's autobiographical. The dialogue is not. What do they call that? There's some quote about beautiful laughing speech. It's not that. It's not Oscar Wilde. It's not Shakespeare. It's not heightened language. It's very, very meat and potatoes, nuts and bolts, everyday language. But what makes it endure, I think, is for the same reason a play like King Lear endures, is that it's about the family unit, which is actually socially the most primal theme there is, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years old. And everybody can relate to that. Yeah. I always say that it's about, people focus in on the negativity a lot because it's there clearly, but it's about the inability of family love to heal the wounds of the past, really. And so a lot of times we look for the love and how we're playing it, and that's what makes it so tragic too. If they don't love each other, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. As the play moves forward, and you want these characters, you want these people to move forward in a positive way, but there's so much looking back into the past and not being able to let go of the past.
Yeah. Mary has a bunch of great quotes on that. I think Tyrone says something like, can't you forget the past? She says something to the effect of, no, I can't. The past is the present, isn't it? It's the future, too. We all try to lie out of that, but life won't let us.
Oh. So, what made you want to tackle this? I mean, this is some heavy duty stuff.
I mean, basically, the bottom line is it's a really great play. It's the best play we have in our American canon, and I think that's enough to want to do it. And as far as I understand, it hasn't been done in Memphis in about 40 years. The last time it was done was at U of M in the 70s, and if it was done in 57, either it was done, sometime in those 13 years before U of M, or this is the only time it's ever been performed in a non-university in Memphis. There has to be another production, but people don't do it usually.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't think of one. I couldn't think of it ever having, since I've been living here for over 20 years, being produced here. So this is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
How did you approach it from a directorial standpoint?
With a lot of research and very carefully. It's from doing Shakespeare, I learned to look at the text for everything, look at the actual script for everything about it, and not to impose anything on it. And Bill said something about he read how it's structured like a symphony, and that really was a key that unlocked understanding the structure for me. And it's all of a sudden, all the beats, all the climaxes, the rhythm, the themes, everything. I had a lens that I could see it clearly through, so it was a lot easier to structure it. And for such a long play, the performance itself, the play is about 3 hours long, and we take 2 15-minute intermissions. That's why we start an hour early at 7 o'clock,
Right.
so you're still leaving the theater at 10:30, 10:40. And so for a play that's that long, you've really got to pace yourself, because if it feels homogenous for 3 hours, it's going to be exhausting and not in a cathartic way. So we've taken a lot of pains in the way that we play the scenes from the top to the end, and the way that we've lighted the play, and also with things like simple things like subtle bits. I don't want to give too much away because I don't want people focused on that, with the set design and with color choices and how that allows the set and the lighting and the mood to shift over those 3 hours along with the performances.
And you're doing it at TheaterWorks, which is such an intimate space. And it just seems to me like, because I went to see a show there a couple weekends ago, and you're just, the audience is right there.
Yeah, with
So
all
it's-
these wonderful actors.
Yeah, and it's like you're eavesdropping on this family and what they're going through. So that's kind of an amazing venue to stage this show, I think.
Yeah, it's probably the perfect venue in Memphis for it.
Yeah. Well, we want to mention that, as you said, the curtain's going to go up at 7. So Fridays and Saturdays at 7. You're doing a Sunday matinee at 2. No show on Valentine's, but you're going to make up for that by having a February 16th performance. That's a Monday with a 7 o'clock curtain. You've got such a great cast. So did you guys talk a lot about these people? I'm sure that you did, and you got feedback from your actors, and I know that you were giving them guidance and direction, but was it interesting to hear their thoughts on the characters that they were playing?
Yeah, absolutely, because I had my own, opinions going into it. And something I like about the rehearsal process is that give and take, because when you're putting on a play, the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. And a lot of my function as a director is sort of an editor, and to take everything that everybody's giving and then stick to a theme or a spine of the play that gives it unity and structure, and then take all the best parts of what everybody's giving and sort of stitch it into that spine.
So you're in tech right now, and everything. The show opens this Friday night. Philip, has it just been wonderful to watch everything gel?
Yeah, it's really nice actually. This week, and when we got into full run-throughs last week, we've been working on it since before Thanksgiving.
Oh my goodness!
Well, it's a long play.
Yeah.
It's 160 pages of dialogue, but it's really nice to hit that point where the play really starts to come alive and the actors really start to live in it. David Suchet did it a couple years ago, and he had a really great thing to say about it. It's not a play that you can act, because, like we were talking about, the dialogue being so realistic. It's just a play that you have to be in, and that's something that's so wonderful about these actors, is they're very skilled and they're very comfortable. And as we've gotten more and more clear on what we're doing and more steady on learning how to ride the bike, I've really encouraged them that no, you're good enough. You don't have to try. You can just do it. You can just talk to each other, and that's when they free themselves up and they're not so self-conscious about trying to get it right.
Yeah.
And the play really comes to life, and it's like you said, eavesdropping on this little family.
So at some point in the rehearsal process, you were like, "You're acting. Stop it."
I do that a lot. Yeah, but I mean, it's true. That's what we do as actors. Everybody wants to be good. Everybody wants to be good. So we want to try, but you're actually better a lot of times when you don't try so hard.
That's right. Quit
just play
acting.
the action.
Just be.
Right. What do you want to do? Oh, you want to hurt her? Don't act. Just hurt her.
Yeah. Well, it's a masterpiece and hasn't been performed in this area in quite a long time. So you have an opportunity to see the talented cast of Three Penny Theater Company's production of Eugene O'Neill's A Long Day's Journey into Night. Again, that's opening this Friday and running through February the 22nd at Theater Works, 2085 Monroe. And one thing I like about Three Penny too is that you let people set their own admission. You suggest a price of $15, but they can pay whatever they want, and that's pretty cool. That part of your mission to make theater accessible and affordable for everyone.
Right. And we find a lot of times that the people that can afford, our ticket sales actually average close to that 15.
Mm-hmm.
Usually averages about 13, 14, because people who can afford to pay 20, 25 usually do. And some people, like students, or maybe that week you don't have as much as you would have liked. Some people pay $5, some people pay a couple of dollars, some people pay 10. But it all evens out in the end.
That's a pretty neat way to go about it. I like it. And I like that people realize I can pay more, so I'm going to, because somebody else might not be able to afford it. So,
right. So when you do pay more than what's suggested, you're absolutely, helping someone else who can't afford a higher ticket price get access to quality theater and to see actors like the ones we have in this cast.
Well, it's a great cast. I'll tell you what, you can go to the website to find out more information, and that's 3penny.org. That's the number 3penny.org. You can also follow them on Facebook, and that's facebook.com/L.
It's I.
Oh, is it I? I Heart 3PT. That's what that means.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt. Also, they have a Facebook event page, and you can meet the cast at the Three Penny Theater Company blog, and that is, again, facebook.com/iHeart3PT. Matt Crewse directing Eugene O'Neill's A Long Day's Journey into Night. Please check this show out. I'm really looking forward to it. Fridays and Saturdays at 7, Sundays at 2, and an extra show Monday, February the 16th at 7. Matt Crewse has been my guest this morning. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Checking on the Arts is made possible by Memphis College of Art, presenting The Lost the Map by Ben Utegard, on view through February 7th in the Rust Hall Alumni Gallery. Additional information available at mca.edu. Memphis College of Art, they make art work.